I'd like to thank to Joseph to organize this event. And I think this is a very good prize, and I would like to thank to all of you to attend here to hear my presentation. And I like this very, very friendly environment, and then I can sit down. It's very good, rather than stand here for a long time. And then what I'd like to talk about is basically Xanadu is a big data management platform technology. But to show something that how Xanadu create value, actually we need a long story of to integrate, to up and down, to relate our value chain. So that's why that my topic is so long, but it's a hot issue now. So I'm going to touch in every aspect of these 4 different areas to in an integrated way and systematic way. But my presentation will be not officially typed. So I'm not going to deliver all the details, but I'm going to deliver something that to me have spent a lot of time to summarize this all aspect of this big. Actually, it's a big data is also IoT, deep learning, cloud is a big technology, big business area. So you will have some consensus about some consistent view of these 4 big areas is going, what the trend, and then how they can be integrated to provide the synergy, and how can they create the value from this integration. So what I like to talk about is a lot in here, but this I choose because I spend a lot of time actually to prepare what I would like to deliver. So for me, I spend a lot of time. Maybe I prepare more than months before that I have already in this field to how I can deliver the aspect of this very broad area. So I selectively choose some very important topic and directly relate to with Xanadu. So first I would like to talk about is big data in IoT and deep learning. So I'm gonna in the big data nature of in IoT and deep learning. And then I'm going to talk about what is the challenge of IoT big data analytics applications. And then I'm going to talk about challenges of cloud-based IoT platform. And then I'm going to talk about cloud-based IoT platform use case. So actually, I'm going to show you some demo about the Predix for smart building energy management with respect to their cloud-based IoT platform. And then I'm going to talk about fog-managed computing and micro data centers. You can think about this all aspect will be, I'm looking for some use case integrate with this one. So that's why I choose these topics. And then I'm going to talk about, I'm not a deep learning expert, but I have basic knowledge that how I can integrate, how I can use deep learning with our general system. So this will be a good introduction because I have a hard time to understand in deeper level, but it delivers essence of the introduction of the deep learning with respect to IoT, big data analytics. And I also talk about use case. You will see some demos. And then I'm talking about with respect to big data, it's a multi-processing of deep learning, as they call distributed deep learning. So I'm going to talk about this is a hot and an essential area that actually we are targeting with interacting with this deep learning. And then I'm going to give you some how you look at what the innovation status of these 4 areas. So I'm going to give you some example using pattern. And one reason I'm like pattern is I'm also a pattern expert. And then the other is that through pattern actually what have is a more in-depth knowledge to get idea how to implement. Whereas the pattern in disclose they require the enability and how to use and how to implement. So that's why that through this pattern information, actually, you can look at in detail about how actually you can implement. And then I'm going to talk about some strategy. So how you can develop in this area your strategy. But basically, my strategy is a commercialization strategy that I'm now working on. So maybe you're in internally commercializing something, or your startups, maybe it may be good, useful information. And then I'm going to talk about designing data-intensive applications. The reason I'm trying to do is in designing data-intensive applications, I'm going to introduce some good book and content, and then there are some subtopics actually that they are exactly match how we design Xanadu. So that's a good example that I fascinated. I looked at this book recently, and I was not expert in this area. And then after involving Xanadu, and then I have basic understanding of what the Xanadu design and how we implement. And then look at this book. Oh, this one is actually we already implemented. Oh, this one actually we are going to implement. So I think that we already been in right direction in design and implementation. So I will explain. So by doing actually, I don't need to spend a lot of time in every aspect of the Xanadu in technical detail. So I'm going to deliver it. And then I briefly talk about the functionality and use case and how we're going in integration with other systems like deep learning and how. So it's a very, very broad, and so I'm going to deliver only essential part of them. First one, I think it's worthwhile to look at in detail. So this is basics. Why you specifically thinking about big data, IoT, deep learning, and cloud integration? Because of we know about big data. So we call 4 V's. That means volume, the size of data, and velocity, data processing speed, variety, different type of data, veracity, truthfulness of data. This is everybody know if you are in big data. But with respect to IoT and deep learning, how you actually in specific application and specific field that you should be think about in this well-known 4B big data concept. So for example, IoT, the volume means that this is a very large volumes of data from where? Sensors and connected device. And velocity, this is the one that actually real-time streaming data, there are very short time scales and high frequencies and high ingestion rate. So here is a point actually even not just speed of the processing, you should handle these characteristics. So you should have in mind that when you're developing your technology or your platform or application, you have in mind these characteristics. And then for variety, in IoT, the heterogeneous data set is from where geographically distributed, diverse IoT sensors and connected device. So this makes difficult to handle with respect to big data variety. So you should have in mind this aspect. And veracity in IoT data typically is noisy and incomplete data that characterized by uncertainty. And then data security issues also involved. So you have in mind this aspect. If you translate this meaning to in deep learning space, then what kind of the characteristic or what kind of the problem you should handle. For example, volume, that means you have size of volumes increase, you should be consider the increase in algorithm complexity and computing time. For velocity, you have to thinking about how you timely training the deep learning process. You should be thinking about that. And the variety in the processing diversity, you need a different type of the deep learning algorithm you need for the different data characteristic and behavior. And then for variety, is a significant increase in pre-processing. So you have in mind that when you're targeting some specific application with respect to big data, you should have in mind. And then you should be thinking about everything. When you think about IoT, deep learning, big data. That's what we are targeting. So I'm considering all these situations, and then I'm looking for the best use case for generative technology, integrate with other system, IoT, deep learning, big data. That's the one topic actually I want to deliver, and then I want to have time to interactively discuss with you about your view and your comment, and what you're thinking about these topics. And so please let me know, and then just we can talk about through this talk and discussion. Okay, so from now on I will speed up, because this is the one in the bold phase. You can have it. So what is the challenge? You're dealing with the IoT big data analytic application. So you know that a lot of the people talk about the potential of the IoT. Right? Everybody says, yeah, 2,000 billion, how many devices connected, how many like economic value they generate or whatever. But unless actually you actually got the data and process data and got the meaningful data, and then you got finally create value. Actually, the point is actually how you create value is how you analyze based on your business purpose or whatever your goal. So the most important part is how to use this data to create value, right? So that's the one actually we should be thinking about now. So for that, we need to handle interoperability, because we have a heterogeneous, we don't have any one set of the standard for the whole IoT device. Even maybe we cannot imagine, right? Because we have a multiple standard, even, for example, in the sensor level, device level, networking level, application, all different layers have a different standard, right? And they have a different type of sensor, different type of the applications. You have this requirement, how you can have interoperability among this heterogeneous IoT data stream in format, right? Velocities and semantics. This is the one you should be careful. And then also you think about data reliability. This is not just for the data, but actually what you think about is reliable. How much it is reliable. So, but basically we already explained about in the veracity of the IoT big data is noisy, is uncertain. So you're not sure about. You get the final result based on this data. So you need some worry about how you can rectify your data to get your final value. So you should think about data reliability, and then also is a basic is a real-time streaming. You need to handle real-time stream, but I have already explained different three types of the characteristics to handle. And then how to read the temporal and spatial. So this dependency is not just for the time, but location. So you should handle two space. And in most of the IT system is security and privacy. So you have in mind this one. And then also to support this analytics, recently, yeah, a lot of the cloud-based service or cloud-based platforms are provided. Also, we are also using, for example, we are testing Xanadu in Amazon AWS cluster. Use that. So this is a very good resource you can have to deal with IoT big data and deep learning in every aspect of the computing, storage. You need this resource. So, but challenge of the cloud-based IoT platform that particularly is that you need to be should provide dynamic and flexible analytic resource sharing, and based on infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service, and software as a service. And then you should think about optimized data management and processing, especially the geographic resource centers. for example, in Amazon you go, then you should pick some data center, like in Eastern, Western, and other country. So it's internally you have some like integrate, optimized data management and processing is issue. And then you should know about how to deliver the quality of the service guarantees, and especially for the IoT, low latency. So for I talk in the summer about the autonomous vehicle type application, you need this is key, latency, right? Excellent, right? You should decide, right? Quickly, and then in the processing time, it should be is relate to whatever is sort of high risk, right? So this low latency is an essential part. Okay, so